this is not the first time nor the last we'll be speaking about ranks, and I heavily doubt it that we'll stop speaking about ranks anytime soon, especially when the competitive system just seems kind of broken in general. Not completely, I still think it's a decent system, but when you kind of break it down in detail especially, it kind of looks really messed up, and it's kind of messy in general to play in. Let me explain. What kind of prompted me to make this video especially is kind of the fact that almost every game now I've tried it. I have another account for context, and I solo queued on that account just for practice. Not the one I've posted on obviously in videos like these, but it's a different account. I've been playing quite a bit. I ranked in Champ 2 on that account. It was an absolute horror show. It was horrible. It was playing the Russian roulette blindfolded basically. You don't really know what's going on. You spin it, wherever it goes, that's where it's going to land. That's kind of what it feels like now. There's almost zero balance, I think, anywhere in Champ now. In Champ 1, I think it's more likely you'll play with a Diamond 3 than with a Champ 1. And I know that seems like a small difference, but believe me, when every game feels like that, it does get a little exhausting. And you're like, am I in the right rank? Technically you are, but the way things have gone over the past few months with the comp system and the new seasons, I think there's just this ridiculous congestion, especially in Diamond. And I think the number of boosted players might have slightly gone up. I don't know if it's just me thinking that, but it feels like there's some people playing not in our ranks. For me, for example, in Champ 2 or Champ 1, whatever you want to call it, mid-champ, there's people who just look like they've never touched a controller in their lives. And I mean that. I mean, these guys cannot pass off as a diamond back like a year ago. I don't know what that's down to. That could be down to a terrible, you could say, smurfing system. I don't know, people getting boosted. I don't think it's people getting boosted. I genuinely just think there's not enough of a negative threshold for MMR loss, so there would need to be some sort of extra negative when it comes to MMR when you're playing that badly for 3 or 4 games in a row. I mean, I get it, the MMR system is kind of complicated, but I really think code something better, because I think when you have a Diamond 3, just for example, just playing in mid-champ basically, a guy who has the skill set and the ability game sense of a mid-champ, or a mid-diamond, sorry, and is in mid-champ, you cannot allow him to stay there much longer. I mean, there has to be some sort of system where if you get 30 score and play like an absolute trash can for 10 games in a row, there has to be something, I'd say, to at least limit that, to kind of, get your MMR faster, basically down. Because it seems like losing the same amount of MMR and getting the same amount of MMR with people who are playing consistently worse than you doesn't really add up, and doesn't really make the system any closer to being fair. And I know it seems kind of whiny, because I mean, it is whiny. I don't pride myself in my skill at all, so I don't really care if you come at me for that. You might as well, because yeah, I'm not that good at the game. And the way it's gone sometimes, obviously I feel more like a coach nowadays than like a player, because sometimes it's not like about me playing comp, but I just think the game itself, especially in ranked, just does not feel fluid. It doesn't really link up properly. I feel like the addition of extra Grand Champ ranks in SL was always going to have a knock-on effect long term. I used to say that to people when I'd have discussions when I play the game actively, and we're seeing the long-term effects now. We've seen the fact that it's pushed people up and pushed people down. So as I said, you're going to have basically a trash can playing with you mid-diamond now. And I think in plat, I don't even know what's going on in plat. Apparently there's this many plats, which is kind of scary. I did not know plats went up in numbers. Of course, is it start this season? I don't even know. I'm so far the loop with the seasons in this game. So far, I don't know. There's not been enough, I guess, implementation to stop this. Not stopping smurfing and boosting, because I think that is always going to happen, in my opinion. It's silly to say it's not going to happen. And I get it, I know, it sounds very whiny. I mean, we always whine about something nowadays. Epic, fix this, fix that. This is not right, you need to fix this. Well, at some point, you need to fix something. I get they're trying to do stuff with RLCS and things like that. Maybe we need to support the game even more, I don't know. But I guess that's what we're doing by playing it every single day almost. I mean, I don't know, it depends on how much you play the game. I can't really put the hours I used to put in the game, which is of course why I release these kind of, I guess, my genre of videos. But then you look at the whole, I think, the competitive scene of Rocket League, and I'm going to count RLCS, I'm going to count the rank system, and I think it's not good enough. I mean, you've got people communities like 6 mans or something, 3 mans. They do, honestly, their system, probably the rank A, B, D, C, E, is probably closer and more accurate than this system, because there's at least some sort of accountability when you lose. You know, you have to take a hit. If you're not performing well at all, you'll lose more MMR. Whereas in this system, I don't know. There's such a huge discrepancy between the ranks, and there's such a weird skill gap. I don't know how to say it, because it's not really a skill gap, because it seems like it's morphing. There's like holes inside the skill level. There's certain parts of division which are just impossible to get out of, and that obviously means it's because there's a congestion. But it seems overly congested, especially in a very specific div sometimes. For example, Champ 1 Div 3 for me has been an absolute nightmare to deal with and to get out of. I mean, that's probably a rank in itself for me. It feels like some sort of mid-champ arc I have to go through basically to get through champ. And I know people say it's normal, but I don't know if you were here like before. I'm not before free to play, I guess, you know, 2021, 2020, pre-lockdown. Didn't really feel like that. If we look back, it's not really nostalgia, it's genuine. I think to an extent there was much better distribution. Of course, obviously there's going to be a skew the higher up you go, but still there felt like some sort of balance. But now maybe it's the game isn't getting much new players. I don't know what it is, but there's just this continuation of champ being so unbelievably skewed and diamond being an absolute huge nightmare to deal with, because if you get stuck in I could very easily get stuck in diamond if my placements go just a little bit wrong. To get out of diamond, I mean honestly, you have to find teammates. Seriously, solo queuing is not worth it. It's a series I'm trying to do, but solo queuing is an absolute is a horror show. It's not that good to play in. Of course it's fun for videos, you know, it's funny content seeing me struggle, but seriously, if you don't find a really reliable trio, you are not going to go anywhere. And I mean that, because it used to be kind of easy to solo queue. I really do think it was easy, because that's all I did honestly back in the day. Not because, I mean, I could play with friends, but they were lower than me or they were higher than me, so I just went crazy, you know. I'd queue like 10 games in a row, lose 4, win 6. It felt kind of normal after a session. Didn't feel like I'd go either on an amazing win streak or a ridiculous losing streak, but now it just feels, you know, it's going to be one way or the other. It's on such a thin balance. Like the line between being good and being garbage at the game is getting thinner and thinner. And I don't know, maybe we're being harsh, maybe we need to support, as I said, Epic, but there's nothing really to back them up, or the decisions really. Even RLCS, I kind of disagree. I mean, I don't really care about RLCS. I'm never gonna like be involved in that. But you know, it's not a good look when a game is being, you know, slandered by its kind of a pro community. I guess the sweaty community of the game kind of builds up the game as well in itself. You need to have a good competitive scene, otherwise, yeah, you're gonna go down the drain quite fast. Not saying the game is actually declining. I actually think in terms of player base, it's doing really fine. I think if you check the numbers, it should be doing alright. Of course, there's no population indication on the actual game itself, so I don't find that reassuring, but there is an online, I think, count you can check. And I think I should put that up on the screen right now. As you can see, there's a decent amount, and it's quite healthy, so it's not that's not our issue. The rank system is decent enough so that it's not completely broken, but then it gets to the point where there's that line of being good or bad, which just it messes everything up. Champ 2 is a nightmare, Diamond 3 is a nightmare, Diamond 1 as well. I mean, if you see the amount of Diamond 1 players that exist nowadays, who isn't Diamond basically? And you know what, as much as I like ranting and going on these videos, you know, talking about this game, I think we'll wrap up there. I do appreciate all the support for the channel, and I honestly, you know, I hope this is something that can get fixed in the near future, because there's no fluidity and there's no flow between the ranks, if you get what I mean. And yeah, you know, I guess it's like a skill issue to a certain extent, but then it gets kind of stupidly broken, and yeah, just the overall distribution is just kind of mind-boggling. But we'll wrap it up there. Most importantly though, have a good day, have a good one, wherever you are.